A number of our subscribers have been curious about my line of color on my palette and have asked, how do I come up with that and how do I use it? Well, let's look into that. There are a lot of artists that will pre-mix their colors before they start painting. Other artists will just put the colors on, the colors they want for beginning of painting out on their palette. Over the years I've found that before I start painting, I'm actually setting or mixing the values of the colors I'm seeing I'm needing before I start. I did say that before I start painting. So I decided to turn that into an actual way of setting up my palette, and I found that it really does simplify and also free me while I'm working, free me from having to stop and correct values and correct colors. You'll be surprised. So let me show you how I come up with this. I call it the value line when I am just simply setting up a line of color that only changes in value. I call it a value color line when I set up a line of color that changes both in value and color. So I'm going to show you how I come up with that, and maybe then you might want to try it and see if it works for you. So I always base all my color decisions on the color wheel. I have the color wheel memorized after many years of working with it, but I have it here for you to see. So the first thing I'll do is to, before setting up anything on my palette, I look at the colors in the scene. What are the major colors I see in the scene? So I'm looking at this scene. The major colors, first one I see is this yellow-orange. Then I see the blue in the sky. It's kind of more of a cerulean blue in the sky, and it's also reflecting in the lake. And then I see the yellow-green, and the yellow-green of the grass and the yellow-green in the distance. I also see within that yellow-green, I look really closely, and it looks a little bit orangey, a little bit purple. Alright, so that's what I know I'll need as far as the colors go. I'll start with the yellow-orange. So in order to set up a value line, it's not only yellow-orange, but we have degrees of yellow-orange as they fall from not in shadow to in shadow, especially into in shadow on this side. So what do I know about what happens to yellow-orange as it moves into shadow? I can see it right here. It gets darker and it absorbs some of its complement. And so one way I can set up a value color line of yellow-orange is to start with the darkest color that I know yellow-orange to be. And that would be maybe that might be the Rembrandt transparent oxide red. It could also be the Daniel Smith quinacridone burnt orange. That would be one way to go. So let me show you how I would do that. I have here, I start with the darkest dark on the left side of my palette, and then I move it across into the lightest light. So in this case, yellow-orange is a very light color. That's the color I would move it towards. So knowing what I know about when yellow-orange falls into shadow, I would start here then with Rembrandt's transparent oxide red. And you see how very dark that is. Now, because it's dark, I'll pull it a little bit over and let it kind of taper out like that. And then I'll reach for the lighter, the color I want to mix with it. In this case, this is the yellow-orange. That's the yellow-orange I'm seeing in the lightest part of the boat. So I'll reach for the yellow-orange and I'll start that right here. Now in this case, I'll want yellow-orange to be accessible. So I'll start it right here, and then I will gradually mix what I call a color value line. That means that this line on my palette that I'm setting up to work, this is my mixture for working with the yellow-orange. And so I'm going to set it up so that it's in the full value range. Now usually when I set my value color line up, I'll set it up with as much paint as I need, or as I think I'm going to need for that color. For this demonstration, I'm cutting down on the amount of the color just a little bit, just for efficiency. So you can see here now, let's get this right over here. You can see there that I have pretty much a full value range of yellow-orange. And you might say, well, yellow-orange is not the only color that you see in that boat, and that's true. But that is the value range of yellow-orange I need for working with that boat. That's not the end of the story. What else do I see? I see yellow-green. Now, one option for working, I always start with what is the darkest color that I can find in that hue that I'm reading. Yellow-green. I know that the Daniel Smith sap green is a very, very dark yellow-green. I also know that I can mix a yellow-green just like, or just as close to the sap green as that comes in the tubes of Daniel Smith. I know I can mix that by taking Rembrandt Viridian and mixing about 3 parts of Rembrandt Viridian to about 1 part of Rembrandt Transparent Oxide Red. Now, I can also change that if I want that yellow-green to be a little less neutral, or a little more neutral. I can add a little bit more of the Transparent Oxide Red. Less neutral, less oxide red. So I've already mixed that, and I usually will mix that on another palette. Usually I keep a second palette right behind my working palette here. So I usually will mix that color on another palette so I don't have to mess this palette up and clean it up again. So this is the yellow-green that I have mixed from the Transparent Oxide Red. Now, with the Transparent Oxide Red and Viridian. Alright, so that's the darkest dark of yellow-green. Well, what do I know that happens to yellow-green? As yellow-green moves into light, the darkest part of yellow-green, as it moves towards light, it becomes more yellow, a little bit more yellow. So, knowing that, I will mix a value line starting with my yellow. In this case, the yellow I like to use is the Utrecht Hansa Yellow Light. Just a good overall yellow, and I don't really find need for more than one of the really high intensity yellows. So I'll start out with the and what I'm doing here now, I also know that once it reaches about middle value, it begins to lose a little bit of its yellow. And so I will take the Hansa Yellow Light, begin to pull some of the green into it. Now we've got to be careful here because we don't want it to get too dark too soon. So I just want a value line. You see that the yellow-green becomes a little bit lighter. This would be in the shadow side of the yellow-green. And as I pull a little bit of the Hansa Yellow into it, you can see it begins to gradually become a little lighter. And eventually it ends up into about a middle value green. Now, if I wasn't going to need that to be any lighter, I could stop it right there, and I would have a value line that goes from the darkest dark to the middle value of yellow-green. But if I want the full value range of it, then what I'll do is to come over to I use the Gamelin Titanium White. I'll come over to the Gamelin Titanium White, and then I begin to pull a little bit of the Titanium White into that yellow-green, the middle value of the yellow-green, and that gives me the bright, nice, light yellow-green. I have enough of the yellow in the green to prevent the white from growing chalky. So now I have a nice value line of the yellow-green. Okay, so I have one other color that I called, and that color was blue, and I called it more of the sky blue, more cerulean blue. Well, so I have some choices there. I can use ultramarine blue, and pull some of the green into ultramarine blue, and that would kind of dull the sky a little bit, but still push it a little bit more towards that yellow that we see in the cerulean blue. There's one choice. I could mix a little bit of the Rembrandt Viridian into the ultramarine blue. That would give a richer sky blue. Or I could go the other way, and I could use phthalo blue and just do a complete value line with phthalo blue. I think rather than do that, see, I have all those choices, and because it's blue, because it falls the way it does in the scene, and we see lots of dark blues in here, even though they're not dark in there. So I can use just a full value line, and I think because it's easier to work with, I might set up just the ultramarine blue. Well, I have it right there on the palette. Go ahead and put a little bit of the ultramarine blue right here. So I'll pull a little bit more of it from my supply area here. And then with the ultramarine blue, now the ultramarine blue is a very weak tinting strength, so it's not as hard to control as the phthalo blue is. So what I'll do there is just simply make a value line. So I'll get it very, very light right here. You see I pulled a little tail of the ultramarine blue out, and that's what I usually will do. I've done it so much that I kind of automatically know how much to pull out. And then I will continue to pull. You see now it's beginning to change value. It's going towards the middle value here. I'll pull this off the towel with the towel there, and we get it about middle value in here. That's when I begin to think of it as being going out of light into shadow. I think about the colors that way, that they are how we see them the way we see them because of how they are either in light or in shadow. And I like using the term shadow or not in shadow because saying in light or in shadow is sometimes misleading. You see now I have a value line of ultramarine blue. Now I could add one other color there, but these three colors, I like working on limited palette. These three colors can get me started. And that doesn't mean that I'm stuck with these three colors, because as I move into if I'm developing a painting, as I move into my painting, I can add whatever I want to it. Once I get in the painting, I say, I think I could use some red violet on that palette. I can set up a red violet value line here and add that to it. I also want to emphasize that it's not just, I'm not just using these colors raw. I'm using these colors, I'm intermixing these colors with each other. So for example, as I see in the distance there, this green, and I'll just do it over here rather than try to do it on the canvas, I'm seeing that as I'm moving in the distance, I'm seeing that green sort of falls into a kind of distant shadow, and so it ends up being about like this yellow green, but it is also subdued, it is also lowered in intensity. So then I will, with my brush, I will reach for a little bit of the same value of a color beside it that's going to lower the intensity. Now that's one reason why setting up value lines works so well. That when you're mixing, you can mix in the same value range because the value range is already established. So you see here, if I put beside that a value of the yellow-orange mixture, I begin to pull it into the yellow-green. You can see there now I'm going to have the color I'm wanting right back here, but it's staying the same value because I've already adjusted the value in the value color line. So I can move all the way through. I can move through. Now, as I said before, one more thing here. This ultramarine blue by itself is too cool for that sky. And so what I can do now, as I set up, if I'm in the middle of painting the sky, I reach my brush into the ultramarine blue and reach it up just a little bit of the green right there in the same value line, and then I don't have to worry about it changing the value. So that's what I love about using the value line, the value color lines. I like it because all the colors on my palette are already set in a complete value range, or at least as complete value range as I'll need. So when I'm doing my mixing for painting, all I need to do is to reach into these value areas, and I don't have to worry about a dark color making my light lighter or a light color making my dark darker. And so I hope that explains the value lines, the value color lines, and how I come up with them. So if you enjoyed this quick tip, why not check out our full-length videos on DianneMyers.com. These are full-length tutorials, and they take composing principles such as color mixing and work a complete principle as thoroughly as you possibly could make it. Also, if you'd like me to give a quick tip on something that you have a question about, leave a comment right down here, and we'll make a quick tip out of that. And there's your quick tip.